Hello and welcome to Happy Vending. I'm Bill, and today we're going to see if we can get this old Dixie Narco to work. Happy Vending. All right, so today I'm in Wildwood, New Jersey, actually North Wildwood on 24th Street, and I spent my entire life coming to Wildwood, New Jersey. We would always come several times a year, and actually all through high school and college I worked on the boardwalk and spent the entire summers down here. And many of my memories of working down here was coming off the boardwalk at different locations and grabbing either a root beer or a grape soda from vending machines just like this one. This is an old Dixie Narco from the 70s. I always looked for ones that were 50 cents. And this one caught my eye. I was walking down 24th Street, and I saw that this one still said 50 cents on it. Now, most vending machines now are vending only bottles, not cans, and this was a can vending machine, and it still said 50 cents. So of course I went over to it and wanted to see if it was actually still working, because it was in pretty rough shape, as you can see. But unfortunately I noticed that it was not plugged in and didn't look like it had been working anytime soon. But this is located in a parking lot, like a combination shower parking lot here on 24th Street, very close to the boardwalk. And the owner was here working the lot, and I got to talk to him, George, and he filled me in on some details about the machine. So this here is George, and he owns this parking lot and owns this vending machine. Now, George, how long have you owned this property?
20 years.
And how long have you had this Coke machine?
20 years.
You were telling me that it hasn't been working for the last 2 years because
At least, if not more.
If not more. And a Coke guy, a Coke bottler, told you what? They told you as they looked at the machine.
It said it could only be 4 things, and he came by and asked if I had the key. I said, yeah, and he looked through it real quick, and he said, this is your problem.
So then he sold you then this, I guess, for 20 bucks.
Sell it to me. I went and bought it at REM.
So he told you this was one of the possible problems?
No, he said that's what the problem is.
Now this is, for those that have never seen one of these are a 3-in-1 start relay. These go onto the compressor to help the compressor start and run. So the problem that George was experiencing, and he told me this, is when he tried to plug this machine in, it would pop his circuit breaker, correct? And the Coke vendor said that this would most likely what you had to put on the machine. So, we're going to open up the machine, we're going to take a look inside, and we'll try putting this on, and we'll see if we can get this thing to work. So George had to find the key. Now he's opening it up. He hasn't opened this machine up for several years, and one thing I did notice that there was several coins in the coin slot, so a lot of people were trying to vend sodas because they just assumed that it might still be on, and hey, 50 cents, a good deal for a soda. If we get this working, George, are you going to increase the price of the sodas?
Yes.
What are we going, 75 cents?
Yeah, at least.
Now, old machines like this, the prices are controlled by the coin mech, and it doesn't have a control board. So yeah, you can see in here we got an older coin mech with the old Jones plugs on them. One issue with being down the shore is you get a lot of rust because you got that sea breeze blowing in, and this machine is got a lot of rust issues, but we're hoping we can get past that and still get it to work. You can see a lot of coins jammed in that coin mech, and it doesn't have a coin release. I guess that broke off a while ago. There's quarters down here in the bottom tray. So, pretty simple in here. We got 2 lights at the top. They got 2 starters on them. little transformers over here. Who knows, maybe if we get this working, we'll see if we can get some new bulbs and starters and maybe get those bulbs working. It looks like it's Dixie Narco. Oh, a 432, 246, 6. So that means it should hold 432 cans. Definitely a 70s machine here. Here's the compressor. George said this is not the original compressor that was in here when he bought it. He got this as a replacement, but you can see, you know, all the rust in here. And this is an issue with it being a machine that's down right, you know, it's literally right next to the beach and the ocean. And that saw there just does havoc on things made out of metal. That's one of the biggest issues down here. We really want to try to get this compressor out. If we're going to put in this start relay, we've got to put it in on the side of this compressor. Got to be really careful with this because there's so much, you know, corrosion and rust from it, you know, being down here at the shore. I'm gonna get out this old iced tea. This expired, I don't know if you can see this, February 20th, 2012. 2012 was the last time fresh sodas were put in this machine, so I'm venturing to say this hasn't worked in quite some time. You got your cams. The motors actually don't look half bad. I mean, this part here is pretty promising. Okay, so this machine will vend sodas too deep. I think that's it. Just cans too deep. I'm gonna get the product chute out. Luckily, nothing is too heavily rusted that it can't, you know, be undone as far as these screws. So that could be an issue. Probably should have brought my big ratchet set, but yeah, we're getting it. Now we got that bolt off, we can get the product chute out, and probably want to clean this, of course. Got the evaporator. Hopefully the fan works. It'll be behind here. You know, I guess things could be a lot worse in here than they are. There's the fan back there. Fan looks okay. Hopefully that still works. I mean, I don't really have any replacement parts for this machine. I mean, this is not the type of machine that I really work on. I work on much newer machines. So it's a little out of my wheelhouse. But these machines are pretty basic. Here's another quarter. It doesn't look like there's any screws attached to the actual compressor deck. Just gotta be careful because all this metal on here is so rusted. You don't want a pipe to break because that would be catastrophic. There's a lot of splice connectors here. So I got the compressor pretty well out, and you see these three contacts on the compressor. They are going to have to be hooked up into this start relay. The white wire here, the black in the center, then the red wire there, and then the two power wires are I'm gonna restrip this stuff. these two connectors here, restrip them, put two new wire nuts on here. This branches off to the fan on the compressor here, actually on the condenser unit here in the front, and then it also will go to the relay, which then would fire juice into this. And my God, I hope this whole thing works. I mean, it is just so rusted. This is like Vice Grip Garage, you know, the guy goes and finds a car that hasn't started in 20 years and tries to get the thing started. I mean, this is kind of how I feel here. So let's rip this thing open. Comes with these wire nuts. I'm just going to use those. It's got a little clip on it. I mean, I'll try to clip it somewhere if I can. I'm just going to, you know, I'll just zip tie it in there somewhere. So the one side has the black, red, and white wire, and then the other one, which is labeled line, these are going to be spliced into the power cord here. Got our power line. They're going to go in with the wire nuts. And then these other ones just have little clips, and they're going to clip onto those center pins. Let's do it. Like I said, we're going to try to put the white here on the left. And then we're going to put the black in the center. And then the red here on the bottom. Clip that there, right there. And then these are my two power leads. Let's get this old wire nut off of there. Cut these wires off so we can start fresh here. You know, we want to get a nice end on there. Strip that. Nice fresh end. These are from the fan. We're going to tie that in there too. The condenser fan, evaporator fan's up top. That gets the power from a separate spot. All right. I mean, this looks like it's pretty good and it's all ready to go. I mean, if that was the problem, we're good. George does have this rigged up replacement power cord here, which is just like wire nutted in place, and it's, you know, it's Romax. You know, this is made for house wiring in the wall. It's not really designed as an outlet. I didn't bring in replacement cord, but maybe this is something we should grab. But in the meantime, I'm just going to put a voltmeter on this and just make sure this isn't shorting out. This black wire in this makeshift power supply is all corroded away. I don't know if you can see that right in there. And it was actually making contact, like on my ohm meter, when I, you know, put these two leads on the outlet, it was drawing current across. So honestly, he said it was blowing the circuit. I think it was happening right there. In this little wire, probably part of the white cord is worn away, and it was shorting out from the hot lead to the neutral. And just putting a little electrical tape where this wire is, the hot lead here. Unfortunately, the outlet is real tight against the back of the machine, so we're gonna have to shimmy this forward and then try to get back there. We actually ran an extension cord into George's apartment here so that we didn't have to pull the machine away from the wall just yet. This would just allow me to test it ahead of time. Here is the power. See, the evaporator fan is running in the back. I mean, we'll try plugging this in, but
Can't hurt.
oh. I think it blew your circuit.
Ah.
Last time when we had it plugged in, the evaporator fan was working like it is now. But then when I plugged in the compressor plug, it blew the circuit in the house. Now, just to try to narrow down the problem and make sure there's not a problem with the condenser fan here, I deconnected the compressor relay here and just left the fan, the condenser fan here, hooked up, so that when we plug this in, it will should just operate this fan. And if it does, we know that there's no issue with the wire shorting out or the fan shorting it out. So I'm going to plug this in now. And as you can see, we got the fan. We got the fan going. So now we have the condenser fan and the evaporator fan working without a circuit blowing. I'm wondering, as we ran an extension cord into George's apartment here, and maybe it was just too much current because he was plugging it into an outlet that had like a ground fault interrupter on it. It was like a little power splitter. So now we're just plugged right into an outside outlet. So hopefully maybe now it can draw more current. So I am going to unplug it and reconnect the start relay. Try plugging it in and see if we can get this compressor to kick on. I rewired in the compressor start relay. I'm going to plug this thing in again and hopefully we have enough current for the compressor to kick on. Let's try it. I hear it. I hear it. I hear the compressor. I hear it. That compressor is compressing. Oh. I think it just blew the circuit again. Unfortunately, it looks like the machine keeps popping the circuit breaker when we try to turn the cooling deck on, even with the new start relay. Possibly something bad in the compressor that relay is just not going to fix. But I want to test some of the other functions in the machine to see if it's even worthwhile looking for a new cooling deck for it. We're going to go in here, clean out the coin slot. You can see it's just packed with quarters. People trying to get 50-cent drinks here. I see that. Might be able to afford the new cooling deck with all these quarters. That's at least $5 in quarters. The coin mech, it's not in too bad a shape, but I'm probably going to want to clean this up before we try to send coins through that. Get some alcohol and a microfiber cloth and get a compressed air and blow that out. And here we go. Been sitting for, we determined, 9 years. It doesn't look all that bad. Get all this mildew off of here. You don't want any jams. There is no coin release on this machine. We have these little sold out lights on this machine. When a column is sold out, this light lights up right by the selection so that the user knows not to try that selection. A couple of them are disconnected. Some of them I saw lit up. These lights they actually sell on eBay. I see them pretty cheap, these light bulbs. This one's unplugged. This is the old Fanta grape soda. This is what I remember as a kid. Always coming off the boardwalk grabbing a grape soda or a root beer. So we're gonna plug it back in now that we have these wires straightened up, and hopefully nothing blows, shorts out. You can see the light bulbs back there. They're the sold out lights. And most of them are working, except maybe this top one here. Seems to be burned out, but other than that, they all seem to be working. We're gonna throw some sodas in here and see if we can get it to vend. I was all ready with this Fanta grape, hoping to get some cold grape sodas out of this. But we're just gonna before we put this piece in, we're gonna rinse it off. It's always good to clean all the syrup and soda juice off of your product chute. We got the product chute rinsed off pretty good. I'm just gonna kind of temporarily put this stuff back in because we're gonna see if we can find a new cooling deck, or at least just a replacement cooling deck. George, can you turn the power back on? Got the first two columns filled with some grape soda, 1 and 2. Gonna close this up. Got some of the quarters from inside the machine. Coca-Cola. I heard it energized, but you know, it's probably not primed. The drinks have to get down there. So I think it might have vended one, but without it being primed, it's gonna have to vend the second time. And I heard it fall. There we go, just like the old days, grabbing a grape Fanta for 50 cents down here in Wildwood, New Jersey, right by the ocean. Let's try the second column. I think second might be down below. Once again, it's not primed, so I better do it a second time. Coin mech does sound like it's working. And there we go. Beauty. I have a nickel, 2 dimes, and a quarter, 50 cents. That will show that it works all coins. So we put the quarter in, we know that works. Let's put the nickel in. That fell to the coin return, it didn't seem to work. The dime worked. How about that dime? Nickels seem to be falling through. Have to throw another quarter in. It's giving change. It's giving nickels change. Gave me 10 cents change. In reality, it should have given me 20 cents, but oh well, it's Vend again. There you go. Well, it wasn't a complete victory because the cooling deck isn't working, but the machine is vending products, at least in 2 of the selections that I tried. Before I put any more time into this, I'm going to see if we can pick up a cooling deck and replace that, and then we can look into that coin mech and see if we can get it to register nickels and make sure all the selections are vending and clean this thing up a little nicer. But I mean, it all hinges on getting a reasonably priced cooling deck. So look for a part 2 to this video where we get this machine fully operational. But until then, happy vending.